Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your girl, Jess B or Jessica Ba, and I make videos basically to help people improve their everyday lives. And today's video is going to be so exciting. I can't wait to share this information with you all. So I have been doing research, thousands of hours of research on topics around self-help, personal development, how to be successful, how to make good decisions, the effects of depression, anxiety, and stress on our everyday lives and our bodies. And I've basically come up with a lot of really helpful information that I am just super excited and ready to share with all of you. I really believe in when you learn something beneficial, you turn around and teach it to someone else, and then that helps that beneficial knowledge to keep spreading. So let's jump right into today's top decision-making skills for all of 2019. So in my thousands of hours of research, I've heard seminars from life gurus to neuroscientists to indie yogis to all kinds of different people who have very good information and knowledge to share on topics that can really make or break your everyday life. So today's topic of decision making is no different. Literally, decision making or the ability to make a good decision is at the foundation of a successful or happy life. So in today's video, we're going to talk about, no, scratch that. So think about how many decisions we make in a day. Do you know? How many decisions do you think you make on average a day? Comment below and tell me how many decisions you think you make a day. Do you think you make 30 decisions a day, 100 decisions a day, 5,000 decisions a day? And let me know what you think. Before I heard this information or found this information, if I would have asked myself that question, I would probably say I make about 100 decisions a day that I can think of, maybe. And that even seems like a lot. But the latest research shows that the average adult, so you and I, the average adult, we actually make 35,000 decisions every single day. Every day, the average adult, the average conscious adult is making 35,000 conscious decisions a day. And we all know, if you've been alive for more than 2 days on this earth, you all know that regardless of the decision you're making in your life, it's going to have an impact on the rest of your life, or at least on the rest of your day, or on the rest of that hour, depending on how small the decision is. So knowing that we make 35,000 decisions every day, and knowing that no matter how big or small those decisions are, they're going to have some sort of impact on our life, wouldn't you agree that it would be really important for us to have a system of how we make our most important decisions or decisions, period? Yeah, me too. I think it's important too, which is why I'm so excited to share this information with you. One of the Indian yogis that I watch a lot on YouTube, his name is Sadhguru, he actually stated that decision making is the force that shapes our destiny, which makes it sound pretty heavy, but when you think about it, it really does. Even from the smallest decision of what time we're going to get up in the morning. If on one day you choose to wake up at 5 in the morning and on the next day you choose to wake up at 9, you're going to have two totally different days just based off of the time that you decided to wake up. So that's how important decisions are in our lives. Now, on the spectrum of decisions, you have, on one far end of the spectrum, you have the perfectionist, which is kind of where I tend to float around, which is not a good thing in my opinion. It's not, well, I shouldn't say it's a good or a bad thing. It's just, it is what it is. But I tend to be more of a perfectionist. And then on the other end of the decision-making spectrum, way down there, we have the free spirits. So if you're a perfectionist like me, or you have a tendency to be a perfectionist like I do, you tend to plan everything. Regardless of how small the detail, regardless of how small the decision, you spend a lot of time thinking and planning to make the perfect decision, the best decision out of all possible decisions. I was so bad at this that I would often say that, like, I was so happy when Blockbuster closed, and I'm definitely dating myself by even saying the word Blockbuster, but I was so happy when Blockbuster videos closed, because even as a young person, when I would go to Blockbuster rent a movie, I would be in there for over an hour looking at movie after movie after movie after movie because the decision was so crucial to me, which I know you're probably thinking, okay, that's just silly. Like, that's just crazy. Who would do that? But, or maybe you're thinking, oh my God, I'm the same way. I do the same thing, even over the smallest, tiniest decisions. The thing about being a perfectionist is, well, at least from my experience, I had a almost deathly fear of regret and an almost deathly fear of just getting things wrong, making a mistake. I've always prided myself in my younger years on having a knack for just getting things right all the time. Just, hey, I don't know what it is. I just get things right. I do things the right way. I learn things quickly. I'm just really good at a lot of stuff. So growing up and realizing this about yourself, well, at least for me, it kind of turned me into an adult that was afraid really to almost make a decision at all. And so I found myself either thinking way too long about decisions that were non-consequential, like that, meaning they did not mean anything at all, like what time I was going to, well, what time you get up in the morning is fairly important, but what shirt I was going to put on today, for example, just exaggerating. But I started spending a lot of time, way too much time, thinking about and planning and deciding on the small things, so that even when it got to the bigger things, I was almost paralyzed from fear of making a wrong decision. And so I would choose the safe course, which was to not make a decision at all, not realizing that not making a decision is a decision in and of itself. And that decision, as with any other decision we make, is going to have a consequence on the rest of our day, month, hour of the day, life, whatever, depending on the size of the decision. So we all agree that we're somewhere on the spectrum. You're either a perfectionist, or you're a free spirit, or you're somewhere in the middle. And let me know, where do you think you fall on this spectrum? Comment down below and let me know. Do you think you are a perfectionist, a free spirit, or do you find yourself somewhere in the middle? So comment perfectionist, free spirit, or somewhere in the middle when it comes to your decision-making abilities. Let me know what you think. I definitely will go ahead and admit I had a tendency to be more on the perfectionist side, which does not mean that I always made perfect decisions. It usually meant that I either made the wrong decision or spent too much time thinking about a small decision, which I ended up getting right anyway because it didn't have that much consequence on my life, or, well, you get the idea. So let's jump right into the meat of the matter. Now, when it comes to making small decisions, and again, by small decisions, we're talking about something that basically does not have any moral impact on you. So it's not, you're not deciding whether you have to, cut off somebody's hand or not. Like, there's no moral impact. There's no high risk consequence, and there's little to no uncertainty of the outcome. These are considered, I would consider, to be small decisions. When you have a small decision to make, it's best to not spend a whole lot of time on that decision. I'm not saying don't think about it. Think about it, but you don't have to spend as much time or even nearly as much time as you would on larger decisions. Okay? And I think we're all wise enough to know what a small decision is in our everyday life. What shirt you're going to put on, what shoes you're going to wear. You know what I mean? Like, just little things like that, little mundane, ordinary things. What are you going to focus on? What are you going to watch on TV? What time are you going to go outside? Like, these things can be relatively small and should not consume so much of our mental power and strength. What should consume a lot of our mental power and strength are the larger decisions. And by that, I mean you should just slow down here and take your time. When it's a large decision, one of the biggest mistakes that we make, that I've made a million times in my life, is making those big decisions under duress. Under duress, under stress, under pressure, or under desperation, which is like a lack of hope. Those are not moods that you want to make big decisions in. So sometimes you have to tell yourself, okay, bitch, we need to simmer down. Bitch, we need to simmer down. Take a minute. Don't decide yet. Let's get our faculties together and then decide. So let's talk about how to kind of, quote unquote, get your faculties together when it comes to decision making, because until I researched and found this information, I had no clue that there were basically 5 people that you're consulting, or 5 not people, or you can look at them as people. There's 5 consultants, 5 confidants that you should consult or you should check in with before you make any large decision. And I want to share this information with you because, like I said before, I got this information before I found this information. I had no idea that it even existed. So we don't know what we don't know, right? So let's go. The 5 consultants that you should consider or talk to or kind of meet with before you make any large decision are your enemies, your gut, death, caution, and courage. So I'm going to break those down for you really quickly. And then I encourage you to go out there, look at some more YouTube videos, grab some books, and see what each of these really means for you. But I just want to give you an overview because I don't want the video to be too long. So enemies. Why would you want to consult your enemies before making a big decision? Now, I don't mean that you literally go on Facebook and look at like the people that you blocked and go to that block list and be like, hey, I have a big decision to make. Could you help me make that decision? But in your mind, picture sitting around a table with these 5 consultants. So the first one you're going to talk to are your enemies. And we all know who our enemies are. If you don't have enemies, just imagine that you had an enemy, what they would say to you. Your enemy is basically going to be the voice of steering you away from what's going to make you great, because your enemy does not want you to be great. We all know that, right? So when you think about what would my enemy tell me to do? What would my enemy suggest in this moment? My enemy would tell me to do the opposite of maybe what my gut is telling me, or maybe what I think is right. So when you get a idea of what your enemy would suggest to you, that generally gives us a pretty good focal point of which way we should be going. If your enemy would tell you to go this way, then more than likely you would want to go that way. Now, after you consult with your enemy, you want to very next consult with your gut, because these two usually work in opposition to each other. So your gut, or sometimes they work in congruency and harmony with each other, but your gut is that instinct inside of you that tells you how a decision makes you feel. Does this feel right? Does this feel wrong? And sometimes your gut can tell you, hey, this feels right. This feels like the right thing to do. But we can be our own biggest enemy. So after your gut tells your mind, hey, this feels right, we should go do this, your mind's like, nope, no. Okay, what you don't know about the decision you're trying to make is it's dangerous, or it's risky, or it's this, or we're not that type of person. And then if you're your own biggest enemy, well, you can see how that can lead to a lot of bad decisions or inactivity, which is also, in my opinion, kind of a bad decision in itself. So talk to your enemies, figuratively, and then check in with your gut. Then the third consultant that you kind of want to check in with is death. The reason why life scientists and life gurus say that you should check in kind of with death is because death gives us a very immediate perspective of what's important right now. What is important to me right now? So when you think about death, you think about, okay, the way I do it is on my deathbed, will the decision that I'm making right now matter to me? On my deathbed, if I'm able to recall this decision that I'm making right now, will I be looking at it with regret if I make this decision versus another decision? Will I be proud? Will I not be proud? So consider your life ending, literally, not in a morbid way, but consider your life ending, which is a pretty, significant event. And then it will help to kind of narrow down or shrink down the size of the decision you're making. Because a lot of times, especially if you're someone who has a tendency to be more on that perfectionist end of the spectrum like me, a lot of times a decision, the more you think about a decision, it goes like this. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until all of a sudden, all you wanted to do was figure out a healthy meal to eat for lunch. And now you have a migraine. You don't want to eat. You just want to go to sleep because you've made that lunch decision so huge that you don't even want to eat lunch anymore. You're so frustrated with the millions of possibilities and the millions of eventual consequences of each of those possibilities that you just think yourself right out of it. So when you think about death, in relation to the size of your decision, it helps you to just kind of bring it into perspective, bring it into a real life perspective, because not every decision you make is equal to life and death. And understanding that, realizing that will help you kind of get into a lot more action and motion. Next, caution. Check with caution. What would your voice of caution tell you to do regarding that decision? And for obvious reasons, we want to check in with caution because caution is what lets us know where risks are. So check in with that voice of caution. And what you want to be checking with caution is, how much of a risk is this? Is the risk going to be high impact? Is the risk going to be long term? How great of an uncertainty of the outcome do I have? How able will I be to live with this decision if the outcome does not go the way I want it to go or the way I'm expecting? These are all things that you want to check in with caution about. And then the last one that you want to check with is courage. Now, the interesting thing about checking in with caution and courage right beside each other is kind of the same thing that happens when you're checking in with your enemies and your gut right beside each other, is there's going to be some battling that goes on. Typically, you're going to have some battling that goes on. Your caution is going to tell you, oh, wait, no, yellow light, red light, don't go. These are the risks. But then on the other hand, when you turn around and check in with your courage, that's when you really start to see some magic happen, because that's when your gut will come back and be like, but we can do this. We've got this. It's not life or death. My enemies definitely wouldn't want me to do it this way, so we can do it. I can deal with the risks. I can handle it. I'm going to get this thing done. I'm going to make this decision. And that's basically how you want to set up your process of decision making for all decisions in your life, big or small. And when you have a small decision, you can kind of run through those things really quickly, or you don't even have to pass them through that, kind of board of counsel, board of decision counsel. If it's a really, really tiny decision, you can just trust that you know what to do. But I would say anything from a medium-sized to large decision, you're going to want to employ these 5 consultants. And the consultants, again, are your enemies, your gut, your death, caution, and your courage. Consult these 5 every time you want to make a decision, a large decision, a medium-sized decision, and I promise you, it'll help you to get a lot of perspective on what to do, and it'll get you out of a moment of being inactive, or a period or periods of being inactive if you're anything like me several years ago, and it'll get you into action. And as we all know, if you are a student of the Bible or of any sort of religious doctrine or spiritual doctrine, with action comes blessings. Or another way that I like to say it is, blessings follow action. So when you take an action, any action really, a blessing can follow. So this process really did a lot to help me to kind of get more into an active mode, and I hope it does the same for all of you. So if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Not thumbs, because that's not a thing. Give it a big thumbs up if you like this video. If you didn't like it, please let me know. Give it a thumbs down if you did not like the video. I really would appreciate you guys' honest feedback. If you are subscribed to my channel, make sure that you hit that bell notification icon so that you're notified every time I upload another daily motivation, pro-life tip video for you. And if you are new to my channel, thank you so much for joining. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. It's right below this video. And I'll see you here next time. Peace, blessings, and many great decision-making moments to you all. Thank you so much. Later.